I'm tired of hearing about it too, but this first question might be particularly relevant to kind of what's going on right now in the state of the world. And now I cope with things by laughing it off and smiling and that sort of thing, okay? So I don't want to come across this topic like it's all smiley and sunshine and rainbows because it's a scary thing, and I think you know where I'm going with this. So I've got a lot of questions this week from clients and that sort of thing about, hey, what do I do if the coronavirus kind of shuts the gym down and I can't go to the gym and train? In that scenario, we're probably going to have to switch to mostly body weight based workouts and focus on maintaining as much as we can while training at home and trying to just get in an effective stimulus to maintain. So, what that's probably going to look like is a lot of push ups, a lot of pull ups if you have access to that, or if you can jerry rig some sort of pull up station, a lot of body weight squats, a lot of body weight lunges. I think that it wouldn't be the worst idea to go to Amazon and grab a resistance band. Just buy a resistance band pack. I think they're like $20, and Amazon you can have that in a couple of days. And if you had that, you could do like lateral raises, and you could do bicep curls and tricep extensions and stuff like that, and you could definitely maintain things. So as for your workouts, I would do 3 to 5 sets, as close to failure as you can, about every other day per muscle. So you might do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 to 5 sets for your upper body, really close to failure, as much as you can, push ups, and then you grab those bands and you do your bicep curls, and you could try to do like a row or something with those bands, or try to do a single arm row by grabbing, if you have anything heavy at your house or stuff like that, or if you have something to do pull-ups, 3 to 5 sets of those, you'll maintain your back really well. And then you could also do lateral raises with the bands, and then maybe Tuesday or Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, you could do sets of body weight squats to failure, like 3 to 5 sets of that, and then 3 to 5 sets of body weight lunges to failure, and you're going to be wrecked. And you might only have to do that twice a week. And I think if you do that, you're good to maintain. And I would probably just eat at maintenance calories, since the stimulus is probably going to be a little bit lower. And that's how I would approach it. I would try to get in, if you can get in, like somewhere between 6 to 12 challenging sets per muscle per week with bodyweight stuff. That's what I do. So those resistance bands can help. Do your best to get enough protein in. And I know it sucks. Like, if this happens in my area and I can't go to the gym, like, it sucks. I don't like it. It's frustrating. I want to go to the gym and stay in my routine. But what helps me is zooming out as much as I can and thinking about, hey, over the course of my decades and decades of training in my future life, am I going to look back on this and really be all that concerned about a few weeks to where I couldn't go to the gym and just had to maintain? No, probably not. And is that an excuse to just do nothing? No, also not. So, zooming out as much as I can, looking over the long term, in the grand scheme of things, having a month of body weight stuff at maintenance, if that's what it comes to, at the end of the day, like, it's a forced maintenance phase and a forced resensitization phase. And in the long run, I really don't think it matters that much. All right. So I know it sucks. Hopefully that helps. And hopefully y'all are staying safe out there. But I'm sure you guys are getting tired of hearing all the stuff that we've been hearing as well. So I'll leave it at that. All right. All right. Next question. Will I ever take steroids? No, I won't. And for me, like, I've kind of talked this about before. I'm just a recreational lifter. I have no plans to compete. I have no plans to ever make money through my physique or stuff like that. Well, at least from like bodybuilding and stuff like that. And I, it's just not worth it to me. Like there's a cost to that, to where potential health costs down the road. There's cost of just the taking the testosterone costs money, and cost to having a coach help you direct you through that, because I wouldn't want to just do that alone. I'd want to have a credible coach kind of guide me through that. And I don't say this to say that I think that my physique is perfect or anything like that, but I'm pretty cool with where I'm at with things, and I generally like how I look. Like, do I have days to where I'm like, man, those cheeks are a little bit chunkier than I like, or man, would I like my arms to be a little bit bigger, or man, I wish I didn't distribute all of my body fat to my midsection. Yeah, I have those days, but I'm generally pretty cool with where I'm at. And like, what's another 10 to 20 pounds going to do for my life? Would it be cool? Yeah. Do I care that much though? No, not really. So that's where I'm at with it. Do I think that people shouldn't take steroids? No, that's a personal decision, and I'm cool with whatever people want to do. Like, I understand the appeal to it. It's just not within my goals or something that I want to pursue. So hopefully that answers your question there. And if it is something that any of you have considered or are considering, just try not to be impulsive about it, and really try to think long term. What's this going to do for your life, and is it aligned with your long term goals, and what's it really going to do for you, and that sort of thing. All right. And really try to think about long term, because I think that once you start doing it, it might be really difficult to come off. And this is a different story for like testosterone therapy and stuff like that. I think that if people have hypogonadism and stuff like that, and they've been tested multiple times for that, because just getting tested once for it, there can be different just day-to-day variations to where someone might not actually be hypogonadal. But if that's the case, I think that makes sense. But I also view that as you're almost just leveling the playing field at that point, to where you're just maintaining normal ranges and not super physiological doses. All right, so that's kind of where I stand on that. Third question. What do I think about carbs before bed when someone trains later in the day? So chrononutrition is an area that I've studied, and in general, I recommend that, hey, it's probably a relatively decent idea to bias more of your calories towards the earlier part of the day rather than right before bed, and having a high-fat, high-carb meal right before bed might not be the best idea. We might not process that quite as well as if we had it earlier in the day, and generally it might be better for sleep and that sort of thing. But there's not a lot of evidence out there on people that lift weights, and I would be very surprised if someone who lifts weights later in the day and they have a higher carb meal after lifting weights before bed, that they still have a really hard time like processing that, and it's that different than having those calories earlier in the day. And I think that lifting weights will probably make you so much more sensitive to those nutrients to where it probably won't matter that much. So I would still come at it from the standpoint of, hey, if you're lifting later in the day, maybe it's still not the worst idea to try to have a couple of hours or an hour before you go to bed after that meal. But it's probably not as big of a deal, I wouldn't think anyways. And I would just be aware of how it's potentially affecting you. Like, if you do work out and then you do have a really high carb meal and backload a lot of your calories, but then you notice you can't get to sleep for like 3 hours because you're hot and sweaty and kind of bloated and stuff like that, well, then I would say, hey, let's just back that down a little bit, because post-workout slamming carbs when we're just training once a day anyways probably isn't doing much for us for the most part. So maybe you just bias more calories pre-workout and you're good on that front. So ultimately, I would say that it's probably I'll be surprised if it's that significant of a deal for someone that's lifting later in the day. And I would say that it's a good idea to just pay attention to, okay, when I have this much after my workout, I still have trouble getting to sleep, whether it is because I am hot and sweaty and stuff like that and can't fall asleep. Okay, then back off that meal. And this could change depending on what phase you're in. Like if you're massing, it might very well be that you're getting hot and sweaty and it's hard to sleep. But if you're cutting, maybe having that post-workout meal there helps kind of prevent any hunger during the night, and you're better able to sleep because you don't have food-seeking behaviors throughout the night. So there's a lot of different variables here, and I think that in general, maybe not as big of a deal, but also important to pay attention to how you're actually responding. All right? And the final question, recommended books and podcasts. And I think that this was for like fitness. So for books, I would say that How Much Should I Train by Renaissance Periodization is really good. They also have Principles of Strength Training that was really solid. But I would hold out and wait for their Principles of Hypertrophy book that's coming out this year, I believe. That will be really good. Schoenfeld's books on the science and development of muscle hypertrophy, really good. He's got a new edition coming out this summer as well. So that's really good. There's some contest prep books by like Peter Fitchin and Cliff Wilson, and I think Lane Norton has a Forever Fat Loss book. I haven't read that one, but I think it's probably decent. What else is there? JPS Health and Fitness has a contest prep ebook, and that was really good. I've read that. And Muscle and Strength Pyramids are good. The Science and Art of Lifting or something like that by Greg Nuckols, that was solid. And if you read all those, like you're going to have a damn good idea of stuff, all right? So those are really good. For non-fitnessy stuff, some of my highlights of this last year was Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. I thought that was really cool. I like kind of autobiographies like that in general. So if you're not into that, then maybe you're not into that. But I like that. I liked Elon Musk's autobiography. Just thought that was cool. Really anything by Seth Godin, I really like. For kind of young professionals, as some of you might be watching this, read Linchpin by Seth Godin. Really good. And then Robert Greene has books like the Laws of Human Nature, and then he's also got a book called Power and a book called Mastery. All three of those were really good. There are longer reads. I liked listening to those, so that is good. I wish I was sponsored by Audible, but I'm not. And that's all I got for books there. For podcasts, fitness podcasts, Stronger by Science, 3DMJ, JPS, Barbell Medicine is good. And Muscle for Life has some good stuff as well. For non-fitnessy stuff, I like You Are Not So Smart. That's a really good one. Conversations with Tyler. He's an economist. Economist? Is that how you say that? And I really like that shit too. So that's cool. I listen to Marketplace. It's another like economy one. I'm sorry. I'm so lame. I can't even, like, now that I say this out loud, I'm like, dude, get a life or something. But I like that. Freakonomics. I like that. That's another economics one. Hypertrophy Hub by my man, James Walsham. That's a solid one. Some different topics. There's so many good podcasts out there. You guys can find them. All right. That's all I got this week. See you next Sunday.